Hello and welcome back to Hot Take here on No Bullshit, where we review the latest movies and give you our hot take on them. Today's topic, Incredibles 2, the latest sequel from Pixar Entertainment. But does this sequel hold up to the original from 2004? We're going to talk about that now on Hot Take. In short, I have to say yes. Incredibles 2 is amazing. It was an excellent movie and a worthy addition to the franchise. I saw this movie in IMAX and the picture looked wonderful. Pixar is really upping their game as far as animation. I mean, they've always been known to be the best, but they still continue to surprise me. Last time I saw one of their movies, it was Coco earlier this year that actually came out in November 2017, and that shit looked awesome. Great effects, really cool worlds in there. They go to this undead afterlife world. It looks amazing, and Incredibles 2 really steps it up as well. And the IMAX picture with the animation looks excellent as well. The really crisp picture and the really fine details on everything. The backgrounds look real. I mean, they've gotten so good with their animation. The surround sound was also really cool. You could hear stuff bouncing around the room sometimes. There was even an echo when people were like in a car or on another part of the room. The IMAX Incredibles 2 experience is unbeatable. And surprising enough, this movie actually was able to pull off the whole girl power move in a cool and exciting way. So many movies have tried to do the girl thing. A lot of girl movies are coming out nowadays. They're pushing girl in Black Panther. Ant-Man the Wasp is coming out, who has a new girl sidekick. They're gonna have a girl superhero. A lot of movies are trying to do it, and I think Incredible pulls it off the best so far. That brings us to the story summary of this movie. Essentially, Incredibles 2 takes place immediately after the first movie. Like, you start with the last scene of that movie, and you even fight that rat mole king guy that comes at the very end. From there, it just is a wild ride. The movie still deals with the Incredibles having to hide their powers. Superheroes are illegal, but there's a new guy in town, this rich businessman who's trying to help them out. Eventually, the rich guy brings in Mr. Incredible, Elastigirl, and of course Frozone, played by Samuel L. Jackson. They decide they need to change the image of superheroes, and instead of leading off with Mr. Incredible like in the last movie, now they're going to pick Elastigirl to be their lead. And I have to say, I was a little worried about the girl aspect of this movie since so many other ones have tried pushing it and failed over and over again, but this one pulls it off, and I'm going to tell you why. The coolest thing about this movie is it flips the roles of the parents. In the last one, it was the dad who went out while the mom took care of the family, and now they switched. Now the mom, Elastigirl, is the big hero, and she's going out to fight crime, and the dad has to stay home and take care of their kids, and they've got new problems themselves as well. But the coolest thing about the mom going in the lead is they really take advantage of showing off her Elastigirl powers. You see her do a lot of awesome things that weren't in the first movie at all. That's why I say this one really raises the stakes, because they show so many new powers, not just with Elastigirl, but there's a whole other superhero team they introduce. And of course, like you've seen in the trailer, the baby starts having some crazy powers, and Super Baby is another really cool part of this movie. So between seeing a lot more of Elastigirl, and she even gets her Elasticycle, she has this motorcycle where she stretches in half and jumps with it. It looks so fucking cool, and it's so fun to watch. The graphics are amazing, and the action is really top notch. And again, the baby is a highlight of this movie too. They end up dubbing her Super Baby because it has so many different powers. It starts multiplying, it turns into a little monster, it has laser eyes, like you name it, this baby starts showing off powers right at the beginning of the movie. And that's another cool part that the dad has to deal with. So Mr. Incredible is stuck at home with the kids, and he's definitely a little resentful about it at first. He seems like he wants to support his wife, but he's kind of begrudgingly supporting her, and it's really funny seeing that dynamic. That's what's awesome. We already saw Mr. Incredible do his thing and smash and go out and fight crime. So seeing him in a family setting, this like fish out of water situation, is really fun. And like I mentioned earlier, there's a whole slew of other new heroes introduced. There's like this whole other team, and they have really cool powers as well. Like there's one called Void that does little portals. There's one called Screech that screams. There's even this one guy like who spits out fire. He like turns into like a frogman and spits out fire, and that just reminds me about again of how cool the graphics are, like the way they can show these effects in the digital animation, the fire, the electric, there's an electricity guy, there's all this cool stuff, and it looks really awesome. There's some really cool fight scenes that look amazing as well. Like it's all of a sudden will turn into like an action like film noir look, and that's another thing I really liked about the Incredibles movie, including the first one. They have this really cool style. It's like 50s retro / futuristic style. It also reminds me of Fallout in a lot. I didn't think about this before, but it reminds me a lot of the Fallout video game, the way they have that 50 style old tube TVs and like classy music. It's similar in that way, and that's why I like it. All in all, Incredibles 2 is certainly a worthy sequel, even though I will admit it does retread some of the story from the first movie. You have to admit it's similar. Basically the plot of both movies is a rich person hires one of the Incredibles to go out and fight crime, and they're trying to like save the world, save superheroes. It redoes that, but it does it in a different way, and it shows off some things that are really cool that it really doesn't bother me too much. I think the key to making this sequel work was having the mom and dad switch roles, seeing more Elastigirl fighting crime and the dad at home having some laughs with the kids, dealing with the baby who has a lot of new powers. Couple that with the updated graphics and the really cool new heroes and their powers, and this movie is so sick. With all that said, let's go ahead and bring out the hot take meter. I'll easily give Incredibles 2 4 out of 5 flames. Not quite a 5, not quite perfect. Definitely the best animated movie I've seen this year, but it does retread some of the parts of the first movie, so I'm going to knock it down to a 4. I still think that's a great rating, and it's an excellent movie. Recommend it for anyone who loves animation, anyone that loves Pixar. If you like the first movie, you're really going to enjoy Incredibles 2. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hot Take, everyone. Next week, we're going to be talking about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. We'll see you then.